My name is Kroontje. I'm here to give you an update of San Lorenzo Gold. I propose to do this in two parts. The first will be a quick a corporate overview of San Lorenzo, and then talk about the Salvadora project, which is our flagship project, and then get into the good stuff halfway through, which is our drilling program that's underway right now. So let me start by saying that, of course, there's going to be forward-looking statements, and here's our disclaimer in that regard. So a company overview, we have about 95 million shares outstanding right now. We have about 4.3 million options out, which is about half what we could have under a 10% rolling plan, but we take our capital structure very serious, and we treat it very prudently. We have about 5 million warrants out at 80 cents from a financing that we just closed on January the 18th. We have about $4.5 million in the bank, and our market cap's about $275 million, although that has moved a little bit. And I want to mention that this is information prior to us closing a $20 million deal. That's an institutional round that is all spoken for, that's going to close sometime next week. Senior management is really myself on the right there, and Terry Walker, who Eric was kind to point out is very seasoned in Chile, has been involved in the megaporphyry belt and in the IOGC copper coastal trend in Chile, is very, very familiar with what's going on in Chile. So this is a very busy slide, but I do need to take a minute. The rest won't be so busy. This is the Salvadora property. It's 9,000 hectares, or about 90 square kilometers. It has 5 targets on. They're listed there: Cerro Blanco and Tres Amigos and Arco de Oro and Caballo Muerto and Caballo South. We're going to focus mostly on Cerro Blanco and on Arco de Oro, although I'll just touch on the other 2 targets very quickly. But what's important to know here is that we have paved roads right to the property. High voltage power runs along the river valley right up here. We're only 1,750 to 2,250 meters of elevation. It hasn't rained here in 10 or 15 years. Always accessible. We have a year-round mining workforce nearby. There's a water pipeline that goes to service the El Salvador mine, runs right by us. And in fact, there's a smelter right by us. So if you look at the picture to the right, that's a picture of the Porteria smelter that's in operation as we speak today, and we can see it from our property. And below it is a picture of the El Salvador mine, a world-class mine, really, that's produced 65 billion pounds of copper and 6 million ounces of gold. It's found in a similar geological setting as our property, Salvadora, and that is in a caldera collapse feature. One more very important thing is that the claims are owned 100%. There's no NSRs or overriding royalties or any kind of that kind of stuff. So let me first run you through target number 1, which is Cerro Blanco. It's characterized by a lithocap at surface that you can see on the right picture, and also from a drone picture on the left. We drilled 3 holes a year ago. They're shown 1, 2, and 3 in the blue boxes, and they were sited using IP. Now, the top and the bottom line are IP lines that we had in 2018 that we processed. And the bottom line is what drove the 2 locations, Sol 1 of 25 and 2 of 25, that we drilled a year ago. The strongest IP anomaly is this one, which is located here on this line. We haven't drilled it, and the reason we haven't drilled it is because of site access. That's high on our priority list to get to. Then this is all the stuff that's on the east side of the lithocap. In the middle of the summer last year, we acquired the middle line here, and that's what targeted 4 of 25. Then we moved to the west side of Cerro Blanco, shot another IP line to the west, and got these anomalies. The one on the right is what drove the first or the third hole we drilled last year. You can see we got an interesting intercept there. I'm going to move quickly to Arco de Oro, which is the next target. It's a swarming epithermal system, although that's up in the air right now. I'll address that in a minute. But it's 6 kilometers of strike on the west side of the property, characterized by what you see there. Those old workings go along the entire 6 kilometers of strike. Great exploration tool. They're only a few meters deep, but it's artisanal workings. We've done some drilling in what we call the core zone. Here's a couple of the most recent holes there. These ones that you find at the north end of the circle that we call the core zone. And you can see the kind of results. These have been press released, by the way. So what's interesting is that you see that 23 meters of 4.8 high in the hole, and then another 22 and a half at 4.75. We purposely drilled that lower hole deeper to intersect the vein deeper, 300 meters of true vertical depth to make sure continuity. So if you were to look at that, this is a cartoon, not very valuable, but just the core of what we've drilled so far over a kilometer averages 17.69 grams per ton or half ounce gold. And if you do the calculation down to 300 meters, which we can't do, but you only have one hole down there, that's your first 1,000,000 ounces right there. So middle of the summer last year, we stepped out to the northwest. We call it the Northwest Extension. That's the line D8 and D5 that you see on there. And I'm showing you IP line D5 on the left side there. And that targeted some holes that we wanted to drill. We also did line D5, which is 2.3 kilometers versus 3.9 from those holes that I showed you a moment ago. So a long step out. And that's the anomaly that we received there. Very quickly, only one slide. Caballo Muerto. It's very interesting because mineralization outcrops at surface along the hill. We've only done limited drilling there, but drilled into the side of the hill and intercepted 112 meters of 1.44 gold. And interestingly, in that is 36 meters of 3.7 gold. So that's pretty interesting. And lastly, target 4 is Tres Amigos. It's a high-grade copper epithermal system we drilled a hole into. You see it at the bottom there, but there's workings that extend onto this trend as well, right to the river valley. And these are the results that we got from drilling there. And you can see 34 meters of 1.5% copper and 6 of 5.71. So thankfully, we've gone through that. And now let's get to the exciting part. And that's the current drilling program. I want to walk you through real quickly where we drilled. So we'll start with Cerro Blanco, the target on the right on the east side. We showed you this already. This has been press released. This is that IP target on the east side of Cerro Blanco. Got very nice intercepts. This will be the subject of a press release on Monday morning before market open, and this is the west side where we got some interesting intercepts, and everything is open at depth, so still mineralized at the bottom of the hole, all 3 holes. So what's interesting about this is we think that we've kind of established 850 meters of width of a system. It's up in the air whether this is subhorizontal or what it looks like. It's too early to tell. I'd point out that on the east side, it appears to be subvertical, but we have to do some more drilling to confirm that as well. But here's kind of a takeaway from Cerro Blanco. If you look at the hole that we drilled last year, then we drilled this one and I just showed it to you. Well, this was where the strongest IP anomaly was. If you continue on trend, 1.7 kilometers, you come to this. And this is a picture from the valley floor that you can see the hill, 1.2 kilometers vulturation that you can see right from the valley floor. When you really look at it, this has the potential for being something very serious. Out on the west side, bottom line, we have to do more IP. We have such limited coverage here, but it's very interesting. Now let's look at Arco de Oro, which is very interesting. This is essentially a wrap up. You will remember that I pointed out that we did this D8 line. Well, we have drilled those 2 holes, tested 436 meters at the bottom of it. Both were drilled to as far as the drill could drill. And ended up in mineralization at the bottom of the hole as well. So those are drilled. We also drilled this on D8 right here, which tested this feature, which is right underneath surface artisanal workings. We drilled these 3 holes, which are following artisanal workings. So we're underneath those to see how that vein system stacks up. And then we moved down to Maria Teresa here, which is right close to our core zone, to test this this IP section that we've had for a number of years, but haven't had the funding to test it. I can advise that this is the 15th hole. I'm sorry, the 12th hole that we're drilling, and it's currently drilling right now at a depth of 436 meters as of this morning. So I'm going to do something a little bit unorthodox, but that's first of all because it's myth, but second of all, the ramifications are very, very interesting because of these 2 holes, which sadly we don't have both sets of assay results from, but we do have the bottom. We don't have the top of 9, which I repeat is this hole. This will be the subject of a press release again, but we've got 7 interesting intercepts or areas of interest. And this is kind of supporting that Arco de Oro is probably, or it's seeming like it's not just an epithermal system. So we're really happy about that, obviously. And then I do want to bring your attention again to Maria Teresa, where we're drilling here as well, and still drilling. And if there's going to be a takeaway from this presentation, you should take away that all indications are that Arco de Oro is not simply an epithermal system. There's an awful lot more going on here. So to wrap up, we obviously need to do additional IP. Now, we also have to drill on the east side of Cerro to confirm whether it's subvertical. We also have to do additional IP at Arco, and we have to test more IP anomalies that we have on our older IP lines. And then we obviously have to continue with Caballo Muerto and Tres Amigos. So I'm going to leave you with a quote from our VP Exploration in Chile, who couldn't be here, but I'd like to thank you very much for being here, and thanks for your attention.